Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Valsa. Right now, my alliance is practicing its elite staring skills. So we go down the statue here, and we're in sort of the top left corner here in our adversaries, FG, COD, etc. And we're trying to stare them down. Now, look, we're outnumbered here, but there's no one that stares better than the Eternal Ducks. So I'm confident that our staring skills are going to be able to win this victory. Okay, seriously, of course, what's going on? The statue's open. It's open for a full day. But of course, we have this lovely ceasefire buff that lasts another, let's see, another 9 hours, which means that no one can attack anyone in the KVK for another 9 hours. This is really just another example of the developers making changes to the game and just not thinking them through, right? They've really condensed the season, out of demand from the community. Okay, I think there's pros and cons to that. But they didn't think through the implications when they keep shortening the timeline. So they open the statue so we can get more statue fights, so we can finish these statue quests. Great, except for you literally can't even fight in the statue during the first day. Now, the ceasefire buff's going to run out before the statue runs out. So, okay, I guess we could fight then, but this is pretty silly here. They also changed the spawn rate of the dwarves. They only spawn once an hour now. So even if you're just here to farm some dwarves, you're not going to get very many of them. And of course, you can get occupation points in the statue, but how do you get occupation points? Well, you first need to establish occupation, and the way you do that is by clearing all enemy units from the square. And once you've established occupation, you basically hold it as long as you have at least one unit in the square. But, no one's clearing anybody for at least another 9 hours because there's nothing you can do, right? So another big, we didn't really think this through moment from the devs. Whatever, that's a little funny. We'll get, statues throughout the season. Whatever, amusing, kind of a unfortunate L here, but no real serious consequences. But I do want to talk about another thing they didn't think through that does have serious consequences, and that's the Great Revival buff here. So this is, for the first week of the season, you get basically 200% building speed and like donation recovery speed, but that's not important here. It's the building speed buff, double the normal speed for a full week, all right? And this has been in the game a long time, and it's always been 1 week long. And the issue is, when the seasons were a bit longer, you didn't really have any real fighting in the first week. You were just building out your zone 1, getting ready for the fights. But because the community demanded shorter seasons, getting to the fighting sooner, they condensed the time in zone 1, and so now we're going to go into zone 2 much quicker. So we'll look at the Augur Stone here. We're in the bear phase. We've got about a day of that left. And then we have a day and a half of the giant phase, and then 12 hours after that. So 3 days from now is when the zone 1, the level 1 passes open into zone 2, right? And so 3 days from now is when we get real KVK fighting. Well, how long does this last again? Another 5+ days. So for two days and 8 or 9 hours or so, we're going to have a constant build buff in our zone 2 as we're building towards and fighting for the rocks. Okay, now a couple more things about the Great Revival buff. The Great Revival buff stacks with your alliance's buildings and battlefield buff. So during that period, you're going to use this whenever you use it. Not only are you going to get this 500% max build speed, you're going to get the 200% on top of that. So like towers are going to go up lightning quick, even quicker than they normally do when you have the build buff activated. The other thing about the Great Revival buff is, despite the fact that it says it's just a build buff, the tooltip is, it's true, but it's not the full truth. The Great Revival buff also acts as a destruction buff. Now, the destruction is a little bit different. It doesn't increase the max destruction speed. Remember, your max destruction speed is 21.9 seconds or 25 seconds with Wyvern Riders. The Great Revival is not going to increase that, but it's going to increase the effectiveness of all legions you have destroying whatever you're destroying. And so you're going to be able to get to max destruction speed with only a few legions. Just something to keep in mind during that first, 2+ days of your zone 2. It's basically going to go lightning quick. Now, it'd be one thing if this was an intended change. Hey, they wanted the zone 2s to have this semi-permanent build buff going on, to make things whatever different. But this isn't an intended change. This is just an unintended consequence that they didn't think through. And the worst part about it is this The statue's new this season. The statue, Snafu's new this season. Great revival buff lasting the zone 2. That was true last season as well, and they haven't done anything about this. Honestly, it speaks to just some lack of oversight and lack of basic beta testing or thinking things through by the developers recently. Of course, the other great example is the 84 servers snafu, where they rated 84 servers either as A or B kingdoms, and then any idiot doing any basic math could figure out, okay, that leads to 21 teams. How are you going to match up 21 teams? Oh, I guess you can't. So I guess someone gets screwed. And they initially told one, server camp, hey, you guys are getting 4 skipped. Now, thankfully, massive outrage from the community, made them rethink that choice, and they managed to wedge that one group into another KVK, which was a half solution, but better than nothing, I guess. And, look, things are going to happen, but these things are obvious. These things have happened before, and they're just not doing anything to fix them or address them. I feel like there's no QA/QC going on right now, which is really kind of problematic, really kind of troubling for the future of the game. So, that's where I'm at right now. We just finished our normal bear. We got elite bear coming up here in about 25 minutes. Getting ready for that. And otherwise, I'm looking forward to the fight and, dealing with these bugs and unintended consequences. But that's all I got for today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.